Hello, friends! Last week, we introduced our fall lesson series on Old Testament heroes and talked about what it means to be a hero. We discussed how these heroes weren't perfect or even extraordinary people, but God still found ways to use them to do extraordinary things. And truthfully, these heroes aren't even who the biblical story is really about. The Bible tells us a story not of shepherds, kings, and ark makers, but of a God who has gone to incredible lengths out of love for those he created. If you've watched any of the Marvel superhero movies, you may have noticed this dude popping up in some funny cameos. This is Stan Lee, who created many of these superhero stories, and up until his passing in 2018, he made a small appearance in each of the Marvel Comics movie adaptations. Some of them were pretty obvious cameos, while other times he showed up in some unexpected ways that you had to be kind of looking out for. But he was a creator who was invested in his creation, and so he always made a point to be involved in the tellings of his stories. Like Stan Lee, God also makes a point of showing up in the stories told in the Bible. Sometimes God's presence is really obvious, like when God appears to Moses in the form of a burning bush. Other times, God's appearance in the story is harder to see. Like in the book of Esther, God isn't mentioned at all as working in Esther's story. But when you really look, you can see how God was doing all kinds of things behind the scenes. When we look at the Bible, we are really looking at the story of an amazing creator who cares so much about his creation. The Bible tells the story of how God continues to love and care for humanity, even when humanity turns their back on God time and time again. It's a testament to the unconditional love and divine persistence of God, who is always working for the good of his people, even if on the surface it can be hard to understand what God is doing. The same goes for our own stories. Sometimes God shows up in a way that it would be impossible to miss. And other times, it takes some effort on our part to see how God has been working in our lives. But you can trust that no matter what, God is continuing to work in you and through you. So as we look at the stories of these biblical heroes, I hope that you will begin to see how, in your own life, how you are a part of God's magnificent universe and the story it tells of God's immeasurable love for us. Bye, friends.